pagkatapos noon, March 7, may ICC warrant. So, looking at this series of coincidences, parang may all-of-government approach na dakipin ng dating Pangulo. Ang hindi namin maintindihan, klarong-klaro naman na ito rin ang binasehan ng ICC case. So, gusto lang namin maintindihan kung paano nangyari. Hindi naman nila makukuha yan kundi galing gobyerno.
Pwede po akong sumagot, ma'am. Yung binabanggit niyo po, ma'am, na confluence of events na nangyari, mga petsang binanggit po ninyo, wala pong kinalaman doon sa ginagawang investigasyon ngayon ng aming task force sa department. Although,
ibig sabihin, nandiyan pa rin yung task force?
Nandiyan pa ho yung task force. Hindi pa po natatapos yan dahil...
Naku, magdahan-dahan ka ba to?
Dahil sa napakarami pa pong kasong dapat tingnan. Ngayon, ang banggit niyo po, Madam Chair, is that bakit hindi na lang dito gawin yung investigasyon. Iba po yung naging subject ng investigation, kung di po ako nagkakamali, patungkol sa dating Pangulo. While it covers the period 2011 to 2019. Ito pong mga investigasyon na ginagawa ngayon ng task force ay patungkol po doon sa mga biktima, naging biktima ng tinasabing drug war. At itong pong mga tao na to ay ngayon pa lamang lumalabas. Sinasabi po natin, meron pong mga dokumento, andyan dyan yung mga ehensya na pwedeng lapitan. Hindi po ganun kadali.
Pero maliwanag yung 2016 to 2019 na sinasabi nyo sa ICC, sako pa rin ang task force ninyo.
Sako po siya, pero hindi po siya aktual na kaso na subject noong kaso na kinakaharap ngayon ng ating dating Pangulo. Ang amin pong ginagawa ngayon ay tingnan itong mga kaso.
But they're overlapping surely, Prosecutor Fadulion.
They may overlap, that's what we're trying to find out. That's what we're trying to find out po, ma'am. But what we're just saying...
I think there's no mystery. Nandyan naman sa warrant of arrest ng ICC, nandyan naman sa prosecutor's brief. Maliwanag naman.
Yes, it would overlap, ma'am. I would agree with you if the subject matter and the persons involved and the victims are the same. But remember, there are so many other cases which are being cited, and these are the ones which are being looked into by the department right now. Kaya kinakausap po yung mga testigo. At dapat po sana nating maunawaan na ito po ay pinaglipasan na ng panahon. Ilang taon na po ang nakadaan dito. Hahagilapin po yung mga testigo, ang mga dokumento at mga ebidensya.
Kaya nga, nung unang hearing, sinabi talaga ni SOJ Remulla na natuklasan lang nila na magkakaroon ng warrant nung March 11. Pero nakikita natin, buwan-buwan na ito. Nag-umpisa pa nung Mayo, aktibong-aktibo na. At it involved the cooperation of so many government officials. At nandyan yung kung sino-sino, di ba? Andyan na yung DOJ, sumapi na yung House of Representatives, yung Senado, DILG, DOJ, PNP, CHR, DND, AFP, PCTC. Ang dami na umabot na sa cabinet level. At lahat nang galing sa Pilipinas yung ebidensya. Parang mahirap paniwalaan na hindi tumulong ang ating gobyerno sa lahat na ito?
Sana ho, alam namin kasi sasabihin namin na totoo, ma'am.
Kasi eksakto.
Wala talaga ho kaming alam na nakipag-usap.
Sapul. Doon sa hiningi ng ICC representative, sapul din yung binigay ng Pilipinas at sakto din yung lumabas sa ICC warrant of arrest at yung prosecutor.
Ma'am, yung mga civil society organizations na naglalakad dito, masipag sila. Nasabihin ko sa inyo.
Pwede ninyong sabihin o banggitin yung pangalan? Kasi kahit civil society ka, kahit senador ka, hindi mo naman nakukuha yung mga police blotter, yung mga CCTV, yung mga medical records. Imposible mo naman makuha yan.
Ayoko hong baka gantihan pa ho sila eh. Kasi marami pa hong salarin na nakalaya pa rin hanggang ngayon at naka-uniforme pa rin ho.
Senator Bato, ganun ba kadali makakuha ng bank records? Palagay ko, di ba, covered yan ng bank secrecy? Parang imposible makuha yan. Paano nakuha lahat yan kung hindi tunulungan ng ating pamahalaan?
Hindi ko, I have no idea, ma'am. Basta,
ang PNP
marami masipag hong magkapang.
Ganon.
Yung mga civil society organizations.
Chief PNP at saka General.
Na nagpa-facilitate po ng lahat ng yan.
Si Chief PNP po, si General Torre, sinasabi ninyo na makukuha yung forensic evidence, lahat ng testimonial evidence, police blotter, CCTV footage, at kung ano-ano pa, makukuha yan sa presinto. Basta pupunta ka doon, dayuhan ka. Halos hindi ka nga makapagsalita ng wika na naintindihan. Pero madadali mo lahat ng dokumentong yon. Ganun ba kaluwag ang presinto natin?
Madam Chair, hindi po. We need a request coming from the court if you need, or coming from us, requesting us na kailangan po for investigation.
So, nag-request po ba kayo? Dahil klaro naman, wala naman na court order.
As far as I can remember, wala pong request coming from the ICC na mag-request sa PNP.
So, doon sa Station 6, paano nila nakuha lahat yun? Sa Batasan Hills, sa QC. Paano na nadali lahat ng dokumentong yun kung wala namang court order at wala namang kayong utos?
Madam
Kahit
Chair,
ano pang sipag ng civil society, hindi nila makukuha yun kasi confidential, di po ba?
yes, Madam Chair, but we will investigate regarding this matter, but I have no idea regarding this matter.
Wala pa ho yung Quadcom, ma'am, nung nag-i-investigate si Congressman Abante under the Committee on Human Rights ng House. Napanood ko po yung episode na yun eh. Dito, pagkatapos po nun, nag-merge na po sila into Quadcom. Pero doon po sa hearing na yun, ang dami po lumabas talaga. Ang dami hong information na lumabas with regards yung sa mga patayan po na nangyari sa Batasan nung panahon na yun.
So, ang sinasabi po
Pero, Madam Chair,
yes, Senator Bato.
hindi naglabasan doon yung mga forensic report, hindi naglabasan doon yung mga ebidensya, yung mga medico-legal report, o hindi naglabasan doon. Ito very detailed ng mga bagay-bagay. So, it goes to show, Madam Chair, na kung yung complaint ng mga biktima ng AJK Kuno, na hindi sila makakuha daw ng blatter sa istasyon, ibig sabihin, Pilipino yun ha? Complainant mismo. Ibig sabihin, napakagaling nito mga taga-ICC at nakuha nila lahat ng record na ito without cooperation coming from this government, Madam Chair.
Kaya nga pinagtatakahan natin kasi nagsusumipag tayo sa Senate, di naman natin madali yung mga ebidensyang yan. Nandito si Secretary Manalo at nais kong itanong kasi nung 28 March, inulit rin ng Malacanang matapos na yung aresto na yung ICC has no jurisdiction in the Philippines. We also agree that the ICC has no jurisdiction and that statement is tantamount to a rejection of ICC's jurisdiction over the country. Kasi hindi na tayo party sa Rome Statute. Tama po? Sa Law of Treaties, di ba? Ganun po?
Yes, ma'am. That's how it goes. Tama.
Are you familiar with the executive order of U.S. President Donald Trump, which imposes sanctions on the ICC? It was issued on February 6 of this year and effectively freezes all properties and interest in properties found in the U.S. or held by U.S. persons, practically anyone who helps investigate, arrest, detain, or investigate certain persons. Hindi ba ganun yung executive order, yung tungkol sa sanctions sa ICC? Among the protected persons is a citizen of an ally of the U.S. not consented to the jurisdiction of the ICC or not a state party to the Rome Statute. Ayan. So, ang tanong ko, andito rin, makikita natin, may dokumento na ang Pilipinas is identified as a major non-NATO ally. Tama po ba? Matagal na yan, luma na yan, no? Di ba, yung non-NATO ally tayo, hindi naman tayo NATO, pero talagang kaalyado tayo. Tama po ba?
It's considered parang ganun, non-NATO ally.
So sakop tayo as a major non-NATO ally, although it's alleged that the executive order of President Trump seeks to protect Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel, all non-NATO allies are in fact covered. Tama po ba?
Well, ma'am, I don't really know if there's exactly that kind of provision.
Well, it's written very clearly in the executive order.
I mean that would protect them from ICC. I think ang aim ng US is really to protect US targets in case a country helps in getting a US target arrested by ICC, they may come in.
Since the Philippines continues to reject the jurisdiction of the ICC, we're not a party to the Rome Statute, both of the conditions indicated in the executive order. Is the former president therefore a protected person under the issuance of President Trump?
I don't believe that that would be covered. In fact, we haven't
Why
heard,
not? We are a major non-NATO ally.
we've not heard anything from the United States on this point.
Don't need to be told. We just comply with the law.
Well, as I said, we have not heard anything from the US in that. In fact, our
I think
talks-
we're not expecting to hear from them.
Well, I think they would have come to us. In fact, when we've had talks with them, our talks have been on very different issues, our most recent talks. But I'm not quite sure whether that's exactly...
I'm just considering that the wording of Section 8D2 of that issuance says, citizen or lawful resident of an ally of the U.S. has not consented to the ICC jurisdiction or is not a state party to the Rome Statute. A very plain reading will say who is within the coverage. So we've not consented to ICC jurisdiction. We're not a state party. Paulit-ulit po. At ang Pilipinas ay talagang dineklara major non-NATO ally. Di po ba?
Well, yung major non-NATO ally has been there for a number of years. But I'll just say first on the
Kaya nga, hindi naman nagbabago yan. Matagal na yan
But on the jurisdiction, since we are not a member or no longer a member of the ICC, we've already made very clear we were not under jurisdiction. What happened in the case of President Duterte was that our cooperation was with the Interpol, and that we are a member of the Interpol, and there's nothing in the U.S. statement that says cooperation with Interpol would not be acceptable. So we did not.
I'm not making reference to any of that. I haven't mentioned Interpol. It
But
came
we
from you,
haven't
Secretary
cooperated with.
Manalo.
We have not cooperated directly with ICC because they have no jurisdiction over the Philippines, and we have not been.
But
in
we're
contact.
using an ICC warrant. The Interpol has never issued a warrant. President Duterte is not wanted by the Interpol. They were just relaying. Look at the email in the diffusion order.
Well, the cooperation, all I can say, ma'am, cooperation is with the Interpol, not with the ICC directly.
I think that's not the question, sir. It's unresponsive. Have we consented to the ICC jurisdiction?
No, we have not, and that's why we have cooperated with Interpol. That's why I don't believe we fall under that U.S. executive order. And anyway, I believe if there were any issue, it would have certainly been brought to our attention.
Yes, Secretary Remulla mentioned in the first hearing international humanitarian law, which confused everyone because it only refers to wartime relief and largely to the Red Cross, and possibly crimes against humanity as part of customary international law. Papayag tayo, pero yung jurisdiction ng ICC, customary na rin. May universal recognition of ICC jurisdiction. Paano nangyari yun?
I don't get it, ma'am.
You referred to the basis of the Interpol and the ICC warrant. Since we are no longer under the jurisdiction of the ICC, ang sabi po ninyo, yung international humanitarian law, ang
Ma'am, it's the world community.
Panggera naman yun, at saka
It's the world
pang-Red
community
Cross.
that has a regime that recognizes international humanitarian law and gross violation of human rights, ma'am.
Pero kahit may international humanitarian law, which is really irrelevant in this case, wala namang digmaan, wala namang hinaharang na
Then
mga
it's a human
relief
rights factor,
workers.
ma'am.
Pero hindi naman siguro universal recognition of ICC jurisdiction.
No, more than
Meron
100
bang ganon?
more than 100 countries do recognize the jurisdiction.
Yes, but even if you're not a member, you fall under them. Akala ko sabi mo hindi.
Ano nga ho eh, the country is not, but the individuals are. Kasi ano nga ito eh, parang in fact, yung mga sinulat po after the arrest of the former president, it changes the complexion of politics. Kasi yung impunity impunity may have a lesser role in the future.
Yes, in order for the ICC to exercise jurisdiction over an individual, kasi nga kanina nalilito na si Bato tungkol sa individual at state, the Philippines must still, at the very least, consent to jurisdiction over the individual, tama? Nag-consent ba tayo?
Ano ho yan eh? Gagawin nila yan whether we like it or not.
Okay. At binanggit ni Secretary Manalo, katulad ni Pangulo Bongbong, na yung Interpol ang dahilan. Tanggap naman natin ang Pangulo ay napakalawak ng kanyang diskarte, ang kanyang kapangyarihan para ayusin ang ating foreign policy. But I can't accept that the Philippines was merely complying with commitments to Interpol, which has been alluded to by Secretary Manalo again. Hindi ba dapat sabihin na talaga yung katotohanan ay kahit we were assured that the ICC has no jurisdiction in the Philippines, the Philippine government chose to surrender, chose to cooperate, chose to build the case against President Duterte for the ICC and evade the national
Again, ma'am, I would go back to Republic Act 9851, which recognizes international tribunals.
Yes, pero nahihilo na po ang buong sambayanan. Sabi ng Pangulo, Interpol, sabi rin ni Secretary Manalo, sabi ni
And the Interpol, ma'am, I was one of the first persons to say that the Interpol would play a part with whatever problems there would be with the ICC.
Ang naalala ko po si E.S. Bersamin din na nagsabi.
Before the ES said
Interpol.
that, I said it already before,
Ay,
ma'am.
ganun ba? Okay po. So may Interpol. Pagkatapos, maliwanag sa certification ni Prosecutor Fadulion, Rome Statute naman ang kanyang ini-invoke. Pagkatapos, doon sa sinaunang hearing, ang SOJ natin, paulit-ulit na sinasaad na hindi ICC, kundi RA 9851, ang mahiwagang Section 17, Paragraph 2, last phrase. Tapos sabi naman, na iba na naman, naging IHL. Kahit wala namang gera o
IHL and
kinalaman sa Red
9851
Cross.
I use in the same light, ma'am. Kasi that's our version of international humanitarian law, which is Republic Act 9851.
Naku naman, paano naman naging customary pati jurisdiction at procedure? Hahayaan ko na lang. Pero sabi rin, walang jurisdiction ng ICC, pero may jurisdiction sa individual at sa krimen. Naku, parang panloloko na to, hinihilo na po ninyo kami. Gulong-gulo na ako eh. Ilang
Ano ho
beses
to
ko
eh,
nang
hindi sana
binabasa.
magulo to. Kung nag-withdraw tayo sa ICC, nirepeal din natin ng 9851. Hindi ho natin nirepeal eh. And it's supposed to be a companion bill. Kasi nauna pong i-pass ang Republic Act 1951 bago po tayo nag-accede sa ICC. Which means talagang yung naging basis po ng ating accession sa ICC ay 9851. Pero ang problema ho, nung nag-advise po kay President Duterte na umatras tayo sa ICC, hindi po binigay yung advice na i-repeal din ang 9851.
Baka may maidagdag si Attorney Medina, yung constitutionalist natin, si Justice Ascuna. Talaga bang IHL ito? Talagang international humanitarian law, pati jurisdiction, procedure, administrative law, sakop na lahat ng IHL. Parang ang hirap naman tanggapin.
Madam Chair, while the
This was in the previous hearing, to be fair po, not today.
yes, the question is whether or not the Philippine IHL law is relevant, since IHL is the law on armed conflict and there's no war. Okay, that is true. But then among the crimes covered by IHL is crimes against humanity. And crimes against humanity may be committed during peacetime as well as wartime. Consequently, the Philippine IHL, although generally addressing offenses committed during war, can also address offenses committed during peacetime because, as I said, certain offenses, such as crimes against humanity, are by definition crimes that can be committed during wartime as well as peacetime.
Yes, that is to do with the nature of the crime po, Justice. Perhaps, Attorney Medina, you can bolt in. You were present in the first hearing. Pati ba naman jurisdiction, procedure, lahat yan sakop ng IHL?
The jurisdiction of the ICC remains under the concept of a complementary jurisdiction, meaning that it kicks in only if the national judicial system is genuinely unable to genuinely prosecute or investigate the suspect. So,
Is that the case po in the Philippines? Are we genuinely unable to prosecute?
in the case of former President Rodrigo Duterte, the ICC apparently has reached the conclusion that the Philippines is unable to genuinely prosecute him because no case was filed against him after so many years, even after he stepped down from the presidency. That is the finding of the ICC. So they issued a warrant of arrest on the footing that they have their complementary jurisdiction has set in because the Philippines, as far as the former president is concerned, is unable to genuinely prosecute him.
However, if the cases, for example, that would emanate from the Quadcom, the DOJ task force, the Senate Blue Ribbon hearing, the ICC investigations that utilized all the government agencies, if these resulted in a case and they were filed in the Philippines, certainly the Philippine courts are competent, able, willing to rule on this. Don't you think so, Honorable Ascuna po and Attorney Medina?
Part of the reason, perhaps, of the inability to genuinely prosecute is the availability of witnesses. In cases of very high-level persons like former heads of state, the experience of the ICC is that the witnesses are generally afraid to testify in their home countries, so that even if the Department of Justice, for instance, is investigating, genuinely investigating the cases, the witnesses may not be forthcoming. In fact, the prosecutor of the ICC resorted to what they call internet invitation of witnesses, and in this way the witnesses came out through the internet, and I think the witnesses now are willing to testify in The Hague. Witnesses who would not be willing to testify here in the Philippines. So it's not the prosecution, it's the witnesses that makes it unable genuinely to prosecute the former president.
Yes, thank you very much. Justice Attorney Medina, would you like to add something to our understanding of IHL and procedure, jurisdiction, and such other matters?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think I get the point of our good secretary that the crime of crime against humanity is not just an international law crime. It's actually a crime in the Philippines, punishable in the Philippines. And 9851 actually provides that
given
the
naman
person...
po yun,
Opo,
pero pati jurisdiction, pati
Opo.
procedure, lahat na lang naging customary law.
No, that's the problem po. That if we have to comply with international law, we have to also comply with the Philippine laws, okay? And primarily that would be the Constitution. So international obligations, yes, there's the principle of Pacta Sunt Servanda that we have to comply with international obligations, but that does not necessarily mean that we have to disregard constitutional protections under the Bill of Rights. Now, of course, there are a lot of debates going on whether or not the ICC should have jurisdiction or should we recognize the ICC. And that's precisely the point. It's not for the police. It's not for the executive branch to decide that. Ultimately, it should have been decided by a court of law because it involves the deprivation of liberty. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Attorney Medina. You had the privilege of hearing the debate last hearing. In any case, I'd like to go to another topic, and this is finally the private jet. The U.S. government will obviously have the last say on its executive order, although Section 1 is clear that properties of those who aided, sponsored, investigated, or provided material support to the ICC shall have their assets frozen. Maraming picture po nung tail code ng aircraft. Nandito ba yung CAAP, Secretary? Comsec, wala tayong CAAP. Sorry. Wala tayong CAAP. Wala rin tayong DOTC.
Wala po, ma'am.
Walang makapagsabi kung ano nga sasakyan na to. Yung tail code C5219, is anyone aware of what company it's registered under? Kasi nung nakaraan, nandito yung SEC. Nandito po ba yung SEC? Ayan, Attorney Bernal.
Yes,
Dati
yes,
sinabi
ma'am.
ninyo na ano yun? Alin na sino nga ba yung may-ari nito? Yung kumpanya, yung Pearl, Aero Pearl, naku, nakalimutan ko na.
You just requested the company documents, ma'am. And we have the...
Yung Asian Aero Pearl.
Challenger Aero...
Yung Challenger Aero, ang sabi na nabago kasi yung website ng Challenger Aero, kaya nalilito kami. Biglang nabago pagkatapos ng hearing. Hinahanap ko wala na doon. Sabi, the company arranged for the flight. We were able to get a screenshot of the article. So, palabas lang yung screenshot ng Challenger. Ayun, no? Ayan, Challenger Aero Air. Inimbitahan rin namin ang piloto. Wala naman po rito. Ayan, Challenger Aero Air. Baka yung SEC may alam kayo. Kasi nung second hearing narito kayo, pero ang problema, sabi niyo hindi pa na-request yung pangalan.
we have already forwarded to the Secretariat, ma'am.
So sino ang may-ari po? At sila bang may-ari ng eroplano or they just arranged the flight? Nalilito po kami.
I just have the documents concerning the incorporators of the... per articles of incorporation, ma'am, the...
Siya bang may-ari?
We don't have the facts about the airplane or the assets of the corporation, ma'am.
Ano yung Asian Pearl Aero? Yung unang hiningi. Yun daw yung registered owner?
We only have Challenger Aero Air Corporation, ma'am, and Challenger Aero Aviation Pampanga Inc. We will verify with our if
Yes, I think the first set, the Asian Pearl, was the first company that we asked you to check. Nauna pa yun eh.
I will verify with my staff, Your Honor.
Okay, kasi ang mahirap dito, wala yung CAAP, wala yung DOTC. Ngayon, sinabi ni Secretary John Vic na the Office of the President ang nagbayad para sa jet. Tama ba to o hindi? Meron bang pwedeng sumagot nito? Dahil wala po si Secretary John Vic. At marami sa ating mga kababayan nagtatanong kung group effort ito, chismis rin ba to? Baka sina General Torre, sina Prosecutor Fadulion, nandun kayo sa Villamor. Alam ba ninyo kung paano itong eroplanong ito kinuha? O na-charter ba to? Ano ba nangyari rito?
Ma'am, ang ano kasi, darating na naman tayo rito. Itong eroplanong to, nagagamit po ng presidente to.
Oo, ginamit ulit pagkatapos nung pag-aresto ni
Ngayon,
Presidente Duterte.
hindi ho namin
ginamit
pwedeng
po sa
pag-usapan.
amin sa Ilocos.
Hindi ho namin pwedeng pag-usapan yung travel arrangements ng presidente. These are national security matters. I think that we should respect, I don't think that we should really talk about this because this is
Nakikita po ng tao,
ang
mahirap
ano ho,
maging
ang travel arrangement
executive.
po ng presidente in the past, the
Mahirap
present,
maging
and the future.
executive privilege. Ay, nakabulat-lat sa lahat ng dyaryo.
Hindi, pero yun nga, sinasabi ko ho, you cannot expect answers from us pagdating po rito. You cannot expect answers from us because
No, but,
ano ho ito eh, pakikinabangan to na susunod na Pangulo. Ginagamit ngayon ng Pangulo. Sabihin natin, hindi ho dapat pinag-uusapan. Kasi nga,
Pero
we hold the life of the President as sacred.
Po
Hindi ho
naman, pero
natin,
Secretary John Vic already said it was chartered and paid for by the Office of the President.
I don't know if he has personal knowledge of that.
How much
but-
was paid kaya?
Well, that's speculative, ma'am.
Meron bang official receipt? Meron bang bidding?
Ay,
What
yun
was
nga,
the mode of procurement?
we cannot go into the details of travel arrangements because these have national
The
security
request
implications.
was made in March
I think we should
11.
respect national security, ma'am. I think it's
Yes,
it's imperative.
if you'll allow me to just ask, because this has already been divulged to the public, it's hardly secret. If it was national security at stake, it should never have been spoken about, but it's all over the media. And it came from government. That they only knew about the request, as you said, on March 11. Sa umaga ng March 11, nalaman ninyo yung Interpol. Pagkatapos ito na charter sa ilang oras lamang. Andun na ba yung eroplano nung nandun kayo sa Villamor, General Torre? Kasi abala kayo na isakay si Presidente Duterte. Nag-aabang na ba yung eroplano? Anong oras siya nandun? Kasi nagmamadali kayo para isakay na, di ba?
I really don't know about the plane, ma'am. I only saw it around after mga mid-afternoon. Na tinuro sa akin, hindi ko pa nga sigurado, ma'am, kung yun nga aeroplano ang gagamitin.
So bale, alas 3 ng umaga, na-procure na lahat ito. Kasi ang haba ng proseso natin, ilang araw, ilang buwan yan. I don't know what mode of procurement, pero sinabi, chinarter. Ang bilis naman, di ba? Ilang oras lang, sa hapon nandun na. Kaya nakakapagtaka. At as mentioned by Secretary Remulla, the security arrangements for the President are very, very stringent and have to be vetted time and time again, repeatedly. So the question still remains. The government clearly knows who owns the plane, and it's unclear how much they paid, what procurement process they determined, and who are the shareholders of said companies
So I said again, ma'am, these have national security implications. I'd rather not talk about it.
Yes, national security involves information that hasn't come out in the public, pero ito talagang binulat.
But it's still national security, ma'am. Even if it came out in the public inadvertently, it still involves, still has severe national security implications.
Okay, it came out in Senator John Vic's Pinky Web interview, so maraming nakapanood. Ang OFW naman natin, andito ang ating Secretary Kakdak. In the last hearing, as well as today's hearing, we're all terribly worried about the OFWs, and the OFWs overseas are terribly worried about themselves. If the administration can arrest a former president without a warrant issued by a Filipino court, paano na lang daw sila? If they're suspected of having committed a crime overseas, can anyone from DMW, wala naman yung OWA, ipaliwanag lang ninyo ang proseso kung isang OFW natin pinagdudahan o pinagsuspetsahan na sila ang nadali sa ang gumawa ng isang krimen, paano ba tine-turn over sa foreign jurisdiction yon? Itine-turn over ba ng embassy o ng DMW yung suspected Pilipino or sa DFA? Tine-turn over ba sa gobyerno? Paano ba yun?
Madam Chair, meron po tayong set protocols and safeguards in the event na an OFW faces arrest in the host country. Konteksto po nito, yung OFW ay nasa host country. An OFW is somebody who has remunerated work and is not a citizen or permanent resident of the host country. At meron na po tayong mga procedures, ma'am. First and foremost, meron tayong welfare assistance, so mga welfare checks. Kung
Kaya
yung
tinatanong
worker
ko
ay-
lang, paano tini-turn over kung naakusahan ng krimen, suspected, tapos tini-turn over sa foreign jurisdiction? Paano nangyayari yun?
Ma'am, yung mechanisms po ng host country will come into play. The host
Depende sa bansa. Yusek De Vega seems to be raising his
Sige
hand
po.
po.
Quickly, Madam, because they're in a foreign country, they're under the jurisdiction of the host authorities. So if they commit a crime abroad, it will be the host authorities who will arrest them or prosecute them. And as Secretary Kakdak was saying, then we have our rules to give them due assistance, whether it's a lawyer, of course, jail visits. And so it's very regular. It's been
So
done for
tutulungan
many
pa rin
years.
natin at bibigyan ng abogado.
Opo.
So kasi natatakot sila dahil hindi nga pinapasok si VP Sara. Natatakot ngayon yung mga OFW natin paano sila kukuha ng abogado? Hindi pala pinapayagan, miski dating Pangulo.
Well, Madam, just to give it a good example, there were people rallying for President Duterte in
Nakulong.
Qatar, and we got them out.
That's right.
So,
So what safeguards are there to ensure that our OFWs, their rights to due process, which weren't recognized apparently, and their liberty or of abode are respected overseas? Kasi sumailalim na nga sila sa ibang bansa, sa batas ng ibang bansa. Maipagtatanggol ba natin sila? Natatakot na sila
The safeguards were passed by no other than the distinguished members of the Congress, Madam, since 1995 with the Overseas Migrant Workers Act, and then now complemented by RA 11641, which created the DMW. The DMW has its action fund for OFWs, and we have our own assistance to national funds for foreign-based Filipinos who are not OFWs.
Ilan pa ba ang nakakulong sa ibang bansa?
Ma'am, by our count, and our lawyers are handling these cases, around 1,198 by our count, and these are active cases handled by our lawyers.
Yes, at pinipilit ko nga ako personally na yung service of sentence gawin reciprocal na dito na lang sa Pilipinas. Pero hindi pa nagagawa yan. So alam natin na kapag Pilipino na parusahan sa abroad o kahit papano naipit sa gera nung panahon ng yung truck driver sa Iraq-Iran, naalala ko, talagang pinagpilitan natin na mag-ipon ng blood money, pagkatapos nakipagkalas pa tayo sa Alliance of the Willing para lang makuha yung isang truck driver. So talaga lahat ng effort, kahit na-convict na, kahit kriminal na nga ang tukoy, pinipilit pa rin natin iuwi. Kaya ngayon, natatakot sila, yung dating Pangulo na matanda at may sakit, bakit tinangay sa ibang bansa? Takot na sila. Anong masasabi natin?
Ma'am, what we have po are mechanisms in which to defend our OFWs, more particularly with the DMW. Once they are faced with cases overseas in the host countries, nandun po ang legal retainers natin, ang lawyers natin on hand. Kung sila'y inaresto, pupuntahan sa police station, as what happened in the case of the Qatar 17, based on the directive of the President, magkaroon ng jail visits. So nangyari po ng jail visits doon and welfare assistance and of course yung immediate release na na-secure sa kanila.
Okay, so yung 1,198, maiuwi ba natin sila?
Ma'am, meron pong kanya-kanyang process, as mentioned by Yusek Ed, in the host countries. Meron ho, as far as I know, Soj is here, meron pong service of sentence agreements usually. As far as I know, the most recent one agreed was the UAE. We were there with the Soj who signed it.
Konti pa lang, nasa 27 pa lang yata, napakadaming bansa.
Would not have first-hand information as to how many, but definitely meron tayo mga bansa na
I just
meron ng
sponsored
mga
the last one
agreements.
with Canada po.
Opo. There are some countries who voluntarily send sentenced persons home. The most recent one is Kuwait. But yes, generally it requires an agreement, ma'am.
Secretary Manalo, please, mauuwi ba natin sila?
We will try as much as we can, pero depende rin sa nature of their crime. But for sure, they will be given adequate legal help. Tsaka kung pwede, we will try our best to bring them home. Sometimes we have an unexpected result, like yung nangyari sa Indonesia kay Mary Jane Veloso. They decided just to send her back. So it's really case by case, pero just ang policy natin is whenever we can, we'll do our best to try and bring them home or at least lessen their sentence. Depende sa nature of the crime or the...
So nasa policy ba ninyo na iuwi rin natin si former President Duterte?
Well, it's
Hindi, sa general rule, inuuwi natin lahat ng Pilipino, di ba? Talagang kung ano-anong ginagawa natin, nakikisuyo, naninikluhod, nag-aambag-ambag para makapag-ipon ng pera, lahat na ginawa natin para maiuwi. Ito, tinangay sa labas. Iuwi ba natin?
Well, for sure, definitely we will provide whatever assistance we can kung i-request the President. And of course, here is slightly different kasi this is ICC. It's an international organization. But certainly
Ang
lahat
pagkalam
ng...
ko, yung Davao City Council nagpasa ng resolusyon na iuwi.
Well,
A-actionan ba yan ng DFA, ng DMW? Alam ko, na-actionan ninyo lahat eh.
pero the ICC ito eh. Yeah.
Well,
This is,
well, madam, pag nag-uuwi tayo ng Filipinos, kailangan may court, may court na release ng
Wala
court.
namang court yung sa Qatar na 17, di ba?
Yes, but-
Pinakiusapan, pati yung kay Mary Jane Veloso na pakiusapan, wala namang court order.
Senator, this is slightly
At
different.
saka marami na nangyari ng nakaraan. Nakikipag-usap tayo, nagbabayad tayo, talaga naman na nakikisama tayong maigi para lang maiuwi.
Well, number one, ang embassy natin nakatutok talaga dun sa whatever help we can give. Pero ang problema nito, ang kaano natin dito is the ICC, which is a court. So it's a little bit different from dealing with a government normally. So I think we are entering into a new area. Mahirap magano eh. Who will we appeal to? Sa ICC, we can only appeal to the judges. Another problem we also have is hindi na tayo member ng ICC. So technically, we do not deal with the ICC directly. And they will not recognize our government also.
Ang hirap nga dyan, sir, is that you are not dealing with the ICC directly, but you are dealing with the Interpol with the same subject, yung warrant pa rin na galing sa ICC. So,
Bakit
hindi
gano'n?
ba pwedeng-
Yung
hindi-
warrant kikilalanin,
Hindi ba
pero
pwede-
yung pagligtas hindi.
Hindi ba pwedeng pabagsabihan ang Interpol na sorry, hindi na namin na-recognize yung jurisdiction ng ICC. So hindi namin yan pwede ma-effect yung warrant ng ICC dito sa aming jurisdiction. We have to stand as a nation. Yung ibang bansa, gano'n ang ginagawa eh. Ibang bansa, gano'n ang ginagawa. Hindi kami membro dyan. Isnab namin yung warrant ng ICC. Pero ginagamit natin na very lame excuse yung ating commitment sa Interpol. Na napakadali lang naman i-explain sa Interpol yan na hindi namin kayang gawin yan. Kasi hindi namin na-recognize yung ICC dito sa aming bansa. Tayo pa nga mismo naghatid doon sa ICC. Kabaligtaran nga eh. In other pag tayo, if we are the requesting party, tayo ang sumusundo ng suspect doon sa ibang bansa na pinaaresto natin. Pero in this case, ICC or Interpol, as you said, sila ang requesting party. Ngayon, dapat sila nagsundo kay President Duterte dito. Ngayon, tayo pa ang naghatid doon. Masyado man tayong eager na ihatid siya doon. For what reason? Anong reason? Bakit ganun? Tayo pa naghatid. Hindi ba tayo makahintay na pupunta dito ang Interpol? kukunin siya dito o yung ICC. Tayo pa naghatid doon. Masyadong hindi ko ma-gets yung kung tayo Pilipino, bakit natin ipagkanulo yung ating kapwa, isa pang presidente, dating presidente, ipagkanulo natin sa mga dayuhan. Ay yan ang bagay na hindi ko talaga matanggap-tanggap. Ako magpapakamatay ako kahit na kriminal yan, na basta Pilipino, kung agawin dito sa ating bansa, kababayan ko yan, kailangan protektahan ko yan. Mapagpakamatay ako. Pero tayo, instead na protektahan yung ating kababayan, hinatid pa natin doon silver platter. Napakasakit po isipin na, Madam Chair, para tayong hindi mga Pilipino nito. Ang hirap. Yung mga tao tuloy, kung kasi alam nyo, impact nito, no, kung baliwala lang itong issue na ito, you can just imagine thousands of Filipinos all over the world ay nagpapalabas ng kanilang saloobin, sama ng loob, bakit hinuli si Pangulong Duterte. Okay lang kung hulihin. Dito natin dalhin sa ating bansa, dito natin itry. Pero dinala pa doon, hinatid natin doon. Anyway, there are underlying reasons why this happened. At ako talaga, gusto ko talaga magpaka-Pilipino. Tell me, kung sino diyang Pilipino na gustong kunin ng banyaga at ako mismo magpakabatay para dipisahan ko yung Pilipino niya na hindi galawin ng banyaga. Sana ganun ang pag-iisip ng bawat Pilipino. We have to protect our own. We have to protect our race. Hindi yung ating ipagkanulo doon sa mga banyaga. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat. Yan din ang damdamin nating lahat. At nagpapasalamat ako kay Senator Bato sa lahat ng dumayo dito sa ating hearing. Thank you very much for attending. Kahit hindi kayo sumipot nung nakaraang hearing, narito naman kayo ngayon. Siyempre, nagkukulang pa. Kulang-kulang pa rin ang dumayo. At inaasahan ko na magtutulungan tayo para matuklasan ang katotohanan at hindi na maulit ang paglalabag sa ating saligang batas at sa ating mga iba't ibang batas, pati na rin ang ating mga tratado. Maraming salamat, and with that, this hearing is hereby suspended.